There's a future where I choose wrong tonight. I've seen it 14 times. The same 14 times, each vision arriving the way they always do, uninvited, insistent, slipping in through the gap between sleep and waking like smoke under a door. The throne room draped in morning silk so dark it swallows light. The pack seal shattered on marble floor. The pieces too many and too small to gather back into anything whole. My own hands, steady and cold, the steadiness being the worst part, signing a name that isn't his on a document that will outlast every version of me that still knows how to feel something. I always wake from those visions with the taste of ash on my tongue and one thought burning through the back of my skull, hot and certain as a brand. Don't let them rush you, but here I am. Rushed. Ooh, the staircase is old stone dressed in new gold. The banister has a hairline crack 2 feet from the top, which I know because I have stood at this exact spot 500 times in my life, more in the months since the council began its campaign to see me bonded before my 25th year. I press my fingertip to that crack now, the way I always do when I need something familiar, something mine. The stone doesn't care about the ballroom below. The stone has outlasted 17 rulers, and it will outlast whatever happens tonight. 100 alphas, one ballroom dripping in gold and politics, and the specific brand of performative warmth that powerful people deploy when they want something and know they have to smile to get it. One Omega King me, Seo Jiwon, 24th ruler of the Haewon Pack, master of 3 northern territories, one holder of a precognitive gift that has never once let me sleep easily, standing at the top of a grand staircase watching 100 men pretend they are not calculating my worth in packland and bloodline. The bonding ball, my council's greatest idea, my personal nightmare dressed in silk and candlelight. Seoul's old northern district sits tucked behind the Han River, where the city softens into something older and quieter. The hard geometry of modern towers giving way to traditional courtyards, pine trees along the ridge roads that smell like memory, a palace standing 400 years without apology. My palace, my city, my pack. I learned its every corner as a child, mapped its silences and its sounds, its cold spots, and its places of unexpected warmth. Tonight, every inch of it has been redistributed, rearranged. Borrowed without my permission by people who love the palace more than they love the person who lives in it. My head attendant, Kang Min-jae, appears at my elbow like he has been there for some time and simply waited for me to notice him. 6 years working for me. He has the energy of a man who is perpetually one bad morning away from resigning his position and the loyalty of someone who has never once come close to actually doing it. I find this combination genuinely reassuring. A man who stays despite his frustration is a man who has decided you are worth staying for. Lord Bae Hyunwoo is requesting to be moved to the front of the line. He does not say this with particular feeling. He has long since passed the point of editorializing. Tell him the order is alphabetical. His name starts with B. I look out at the ballroom below. On chandeliers that my great-grandmother imported from a Viennese estate, burning now with enough candles to heat a small village. Flowers I didn't choose in colors I wouldn't have picked, arranged in formations that say power and money, and the particular aesthetic of people who believe elegance is best demonstrated through excess. Tell him it's reverse alphabetical. That puts him last. Min-jae. I give him my most serene smile, the one I have been cultivating since I was 12 years old and first understood that serenity could function as a weapon when deployed correctly. It is the smile I use for moments when I am absolutely not serene. That's the point. He accepts this without comment. This is what 6 years buys you. I have seen the future since I was 9 years old. The gift came the way my father always said the real ones do, without permission, without ceremony, without a moment to brace yourself. A thunderstorm that knocked out palace power. I was sitting with him in the dark, doing what children do in sudden darkness, which is to find the nearest adult and hold on. I took his hand. I saw his death. Not the distant, abstract knowledge of it that everyone carries quietly somewhere under their ribs. Not a metaphor or a symbol. The actual specific future of it. The room, the hour, the exact quality of the light coming through the east window. I saw his face go still in a way that faces only go when there is nothing left behind them, and I screamed for 10 minutes straight while he held me through it and told me, in it quietly and with the infinite steadiness of a man who had learned to be a mountain for his child, that some gifts feel like wounds at first. He was right. It's never been silent in 15 years. I touch every hand I shake, every hand, and I feel the future bloom behind my eyes like ink dropped in water, spreading, clarifying, settling into shape. I have learned to read quickly. The council knows I have the gift. They think it helps me govern. They are correct. What they don't understand is that it also means every formal ceremony is 15 to 40 minutes of living simultaneously in the present and in dozens of possible futures that belong to other people. And that by the end of an evening like tonight, my head will feel like a room where someone has been playing very loud music for hours. Tonight I have 100 futures to hold before midnight. I take a breath, press my finger one more time to the crack in the banister, and walk down the stairs. He is not the first thing I notice. That is what I will tell myself later, when I am alone and honest. He is not the first thing I notice. I notice him before I smell him. That is specific and true. Far end of the hall, moving along the east wall with the practiced invisibility of someone who has spent years perfecting the art of occupying a room without claiming any of it. Dark serving uniform, slightly different from the standard palace livery, which means he's a recent transfer, and whoever handled his kit hadn't gotten to the full issue yet. Hair slightly damp at the temples like he ran here from somewhere cold. Or tray balanced with the automatic efficiency of someone for whom this motion is entirely physical memory. Then he glances up. Just a sweep of the room, the kind of unconscious check that experienced serving staff do, cataloging exits and refresh points and the current social topography of the space. For exactly 3 seconds, his eyes meet mine across the full length of the ballroom. My precognition does something it has never done in 15 years. It goes completely, utterly, terrifyingly blank. No vision, no flash, no sense of forward motion. Just silence, the specific quality of silence that exists inside something very large, like standing in a cathedral after the choir has stopped, the echo still fading, but the sound itself already gone. Like standing in a room where the walls have dissolved, and the view goes on forever in every direction, and you cannot find the edge of any of it. 3 seconds. He looks away first, goes back to his tray, back to his circuit of the room, back to being someone I was never supposed to notice. Your Majesty, you've stopped walking? I have. Midway down the staircase. Not a place to stop. Who is that? Minjae follows my gaze with the speed of someone who has learned that when the king asks a question, he is already 3 steps ahead of the answer. Oh, Woo Young, transferred from the East Wing kitchens this morning. He's only authorized for corridor service. I'm not entirely sure how he ended up in the main hall. Leave him. I say it too quickly. Minji's pen makes a small sound against his clipboard, the sound of information being filed under a heading that will be revisited. My nose catches it a second later, the way scents always arrive a beat behind visual information, the olfactory system slower than the eyes but more honest. Cold rain, pine sap, and something underneath both of those things that has no name yet. Something that my body recognizes before my mind can categorize it. The way you sometimes hear a piece of music for the first time and feel with absolute certainty that you have always known it. I turn away. This is going to be a problem. Lord Bae Hyunwoo is last in the alphabetical order, which means he is first in the reverse, which means he is still first and has simply been forced to ask for it differently. What he is tall and broad with the kind of practiced bow that speaks of a childhood spent in rooms where bowing correctly mattered. The bow says, I respect the office. The eyes say, I have done the math. It is an honor beyond words to stand before the Haewon throne, he says and extends his hand. And yet you found some? I take his hand. The vision arrives, as it always does, immediate and specific. Hyunwoo, 2 years from now in a Busan boardroom, surrounded by trade documents and comfortable in a way he is not comfortable here. He is happy. He is absolutely not thinking about Haewon. He wants the northern trade routes and his family has decided this is the fastest road to them. I release his hand with genuine goodwill. He doesn't want the bond any more than I do. Now, we have simply been placed in the same room by people who have confused strategy with compatibility. Thank you, Lord Bay. Enjoy the evening. Minjae leans close as Hunwoo moves away. That was 40 seconds. Who outranks the council? You do, Your Majesty. 40 seconds, I confirm. Minjae writes something. I don't ask what. Alpha after alpha. The receiving line moves with the glacial inevitability of formal ceremony everywhere, and I stand inside it and hold every hand and carry every future, like small stones in my chest, accumulating weight. Lord Shin Do-yun from the Western Mountain Pack has a very specific vision attached to his grip, a palace interior, and somewhere in it, a design choice involving walls the color of wet concrete. I release his hand faster than I have released any of the others. I have limits. Or one, it becomes a kind of rhythm. Bow, handshake, vision, release, note to Minjae, next. The futures vary. Some are warm with promise, some are cold with calculation. Most are simply human. Men who want good things for their packs and have been told that this room might be the way to get them. I do not dislike them for it. I simply know which ones mean it and which ones don't, and I know that none of them are what this evening is supposed to find. I am somewhere around Alpha 31 when I smell it again. Rain, pine sap, that third thing underneath. Oh Woo-young is at the edge of the presentation floor, collecting empty glasses with the systematic efficiency of someone who has done this enough times that his hands do it without him. His back is to me. The line of his spine is easy, not tense. And there is something about that easiness, the way he occupies the space behind his own shoulders without apologizing for it, that makes it difficult to look at anything else in the room. He lifts the tray, turns to leave, catches my eye for half a second across 30 feet of candlelit ballroom. He doesn't bow, doesn't freeze, doesn't produce the flustered, compulsive deference that most palace staff offer when the king's attention lands on them unexpectedly. He raises one eyebrow, at me, at the king, in the middle of my own bonding ball. Then he turns and walks away. I lose my place in the presentation order. This has never happened. Not across 17 formal ceremonies, 11 diplomatic summits, or the 3 state dinners where I was actively unwell and running on 5 hours of sleep. It has never happened. Lord Park Jun-hyuk is standing in front of me with his hand extended, and the carefully constructed neutrality of a man who is pretending not to have noticed the king just stopped functioning momentarily. I like him immediately for that choice. I take his hand. The vision is different from the others. Not a boardroom, not a trade document, not the specific visual vocabulary of political ambition. A palace courtyard in early morning, before the staff have made it official, when the stones are still cold and the mist sits low on the ground. 2 people sitting across from each other with cups of tea gone cold between them. Not because they forgot the tea, but because they were talking about something and the tea stopped mattering. One of the figures might be me. The image has that particular quality of uncertainty my visions get when I'm looking at a future that isn't fixed yet, that is still being decided by choices not yet made. I hold the handshake 2 seconds longer than any of the others. From the edge of the room, rain and pine sap curl through the air, closer than before. Lim Chan-woo arrives in a red hanbok that reads either very confident or very desperate, and I ask him before he finishes his opening line whether he's nervous. A little, Your Majesty. The vision. A man who sat up last night with Haewon's water treaty documents spread across his floor and called his brother at midnight to say he was terrified. Nothing calculated in it. Just a person trying hard at something that matters to him. Lead with the nervous part next time. It's more interesting than the speech. He actually laughs, short and surprised, like he didn't know that was possible in this room. I find I mean it. Nerves are honest. Practice confidence is almost always a performance, and performances are exhausting to watch. 11 feet behind me, something shifts. I don't look. I do not look. It happens at Alpha 52. A tray hits the floor with a crash that cuts through the careful noise of the ballroom like a knife through cloth, bright and sudden and immediately drawing every head in the vicinity. Oh Woo-young is standing near the east pillar, staring down at the scattered glasses with an expression I can only read the edges of from this distance. Controlled. Whatever he's feeling, he's holding it in both hands and not letting it show anywhere that counts. And a nearby alpha, I'll identify him properly in a moment. I've noted the Inshin delegation pin makes a sound. It is a low, dismissive, unhurried sound, the kind that is technically not a word and therefore technically not actionable, but which lands with the specific weight of something that has been designed to. The sound of a man who has perfected the art of saying nothing while saying everything. Woo Young's jaw tightens, barely, a centimeter of movement. He crouches and begins collecting the pieces with quick, efficient hands, methodical and unhurried, not performing shame and not performing indifference, just doing the work. No apology, no backward glance, no performance of contrition for the audience of alphas who have angled slightly toward him in the way that packs do when they scent hierarchy in motion. Hari the Inshin alpha steps closer, arms crossed, not helping, not moving away, just closer, with the specific posture of someone who has decided to make a moment out of what should have been an accident. I extend 2 fingers toward Minjae without looking away from Alpha 52's vision, which I have just finished and found profoundly uninteresting. Handle it quietly before I handle it loudly. Minjae covers the ground in 8 steps. He has a gift, genuinely, technically, a verified secondary gift for making powerful people feel that cooperation was entirely their own idea. The Inshan Alpha's posture shifts from dismissive to carefully neutral in under 4 seconds. I watch Minji do it in my peripheral vision and feel the familiar combination of admiration and relief that his gift is pointed in my direction. Behind me, I hear Woo Young collect the last piece. Stand. His weight redistributes, the floor takes it differently, the sound of his footsteps has a direction. The northeast corridor. He walks into it without a single word spoken, not to Minjae, not to the Inshan Alpha, not to anyone. I am shaking another hand and seeing another future. "Oh, Woo Young," Minjae reports during a pause. Quiet voice, face forward, to all appearances reading his clipboard. No disciplinary record. Transferred with a clean sheet. No documented reason to be in the main hall tonight. "You've looked at him 9 times. I've been counting the pillars. There are 4 pillars, Your Majesty." I watch Alpha 62 execute a bow that has been rehearsed until the rehearsal has become visible in it. He's 11 feet away right now. Northeast corridor entrance. I haven't looked once. A long pause, Minja's pen stops moving. That's somehow worse. He is not wrong. I am experiencing something that I have not experienced in 15 years of navigating a world in which I can see where every person in it is going. I am experiencing the specific vertiginous disorientation of not knowing, and the discovery that not knowing and not caring are very different states, and that I am, with absolute clarity, in the former. Nothing is happening, I tell myself. I am fine. Cha Hyun-sung walks onto the presentation floor the way certain people walk into rooms, not with noise, not with theater, but with the quality of presence that makes the architecture seem to have quietly adjusted itself in preparation. Not dramatic, just undeniable. Every alpha in my peripheral range straightens fractionally. Pack instinct, in the body knowing what the mind takes longer to articulate. The most powerful alpha in this room, and he wears it the way a mountain wears its altitude, not as performance, not as effort, simply as fact. Cha Hyun-sung, Jirisan territory. I know his name before he gives it. Mild surprise crosses his face, controlled quickly. "You know my name." "Good governance." I extend my hand. The vision that arrives makes me pay attention in a way the others haven't. It's not clear in the way some are a boardroom, a courtyard, a specific bright future already assembling itself. This one has the texture of a decision not yet made. A throne room in low winter light, 2 figures standing close enough that their voices are below hearing, the distance between them dense with the weight of something consequential. One figure might be Hun-sung, the other I cannot resolve clearly. The vision has that specific quality of a future that exists only if certain choices are made, and the choices haven't been made yet. I release his hand a breath before I want to. He takes exactly 1 extra second before stepping aside, not pushing, not performing interest, just present, attending. The patience of someone who has decided something and is willing to wait to find out if he is right. Then the scent breaks through. Rain, pine sap, 7 feet. Close enough that the unnamed third note underneath both of them has texture now. Something like cedar, something like the air before lightning, something my body is apparently cataloging with far more attention than I authorized. He moved. Young moved from the corridor entrance to 7 feet behind me, and I noticed it through concrete walls and the noise of a 100-person formal event. I am fine. My head starts to turn during Alpha 71. It is a small movement, barely a degree of arc, and I stop it with the full force of 15 years of learning to control what my face does in public. Full muscular intervention, the kind of internal effort that, if visible, would read as mild headache. Your Majesty? Alpha 70 says. He has been standing in front of me for some seconds, apparently. You were saying? I hadn't said anything yet. Right. Go ahead. Minja's pen has stopped. I know because the small sound it makes against the clipboard has been absent for what I estimate is 45 seconds. During the pause after 72, I finally look. Dear, it's not a decision. I want to be clear about that. It is the simple defeat of a person who has been not looking with increasing effort and whose capacity for that particular effort has run out. Young is near the corridor entrance. Posture different from when he's working the performance of invisibility stripped away, replaced with something quieter and more real. His weight is slightly back on his heels. There's a barely visible wrinkle at his left shoulder where the fabric has pulled from some movement earlier. The kind of detail that exists in a room and that no one notices and that my eyes locate immediately because I have, without authorization, given some significant portion of my attention to the question of where he is and what he's doing at any given moment. He hasn't looked at me. He is looking at the refreshment table with the focused patience of someone doing their job. And there is something so unbothered about the quality of his attention, the way he is simply present in the room without performing anything for anyone, that something in my chest does a thing I refuse to name. Something complicated. Something that involves a door in a room I did not know I'd sealed. 28 alphas left, I say. 28, Minjae confirms. I already know none of them are the problem. I'm going to walk to the east corridor. Your Majesty, I need air. There is air here. A pause. There is considerably more air here than in the east corridor. The east corridor is quite contained. The air in the east corridor, Minja says, after a moment's stillness. Core is approximately 7 feet from where Young is currently standing. Fascinating coincidence. He closes his eyes. Not long, 2 seconds, perhaps 3. The expression of a man taking inventory of his professional choices. 5 minutes, he says. I am already walking. The noise drops the moment I step through the archway. It doesn't stop, it's a ballroom. It doesn't stop, but it shifts, becomes something behind me rather than around me. The specific acoustic quality of sound heard through stone. The corridor is cool. There's a courtyard through the far window, pine trees and dark sky, the kind of view that has been in this palace for 4 centuries and has never not been beautiful. Young is at the corridor window, looking out at the courtyard. His posture has changed. In the main hall, it carries the managed quality of someone performing invisibility, shoulders held in a particular way, weight distributed to take up minimum space. Here it's different. Shoulders dropped, weight shifted to one hip. The physical vocabulary of someone who believes they are not being watched and who is, in that belief, entirely themselves. He has been standing here looking at the same pine trees I have been looking at since I was 4 years old. I stand quietly for 4 seconds. He says without turning, "The presentations are running long." The back of my neck does something. I was taking account. He turns, and for the first time since that moment across the ballroom, I see his face without a crowd between us and without the managed performance of palace staff on duty. One younger than I initially read, there's something about the directness of him that ages him in a crowd, the quality of taking up space that his body does without him. His eyes are clear and precise, and they do not perform anything for me. You're not supposed to be in the main hall. Minjae wrote a note about it. Something in his voice not defensive, just factual. Minjae writes notes about everything. He wrote 3 during my 15-minute transfer meeting this morning. I counted. Something moves in my chest. A door opening. A room I had sealed against exactly this. You raised an eyebrow at me. I didn't realize that was you. He says it simply. No apology and no inflation. I was wearing the crown, Wu Yongxi. Apologies, oh Han Your Majesty. He says this with the exact tone of someone who is observing the form of the apology without particularly endorsing its content. I should go back. 28 alphas are waiting with their futures in their hands. Why did you drop the tray? A flicker in his expression, gone quickly, but I saw it. Accident. You don't strike me as someone who has many accidents. He holds my gaze for a moment. Then, the alpha from Inshan said something. Nothing I haven't heard before. He says the last part flat and factual, and the flatness is the worst part of it, the specific flatness of a person who has learned not to perform reaction, because performing reaction costs something, and they have learned to spend carefully. It has been said enough times that surprise is no longer part of the equation. The sentence lands behind my sternum with force entirely out of proportion to its volume. My hand lifts. I don't have a clear sense of what I'm reaching toward, which should alarm me and doesn't. Your Majesty, Alpha 73 is ready. My hand stops. Wu Young takes a step back, and his expression resettles into something clean and unhurried. The neutrality of someone who has had practice returning to baseline quickly. Your alphas are waiting, he says. I stand in the corridor for one more second. 28 men and their futures. The one future I've been reaching for all night like a word on the edge of memory. Why can't I feel him? I conduct the remaining 28 presentations with the specific focused attention of someone who has decided that focus is required and is applying it by force. Hands shaken. Wet visions held and processed and filed. Notes passed to Minjae with the efficiency of long practice. But I have been aware of Wu Yung's position in this ballroom since the moment his tray hit the floor, and that awareness does not cease simply because I have decided to ignore it. He is a compass bearing, fixed and constant, and I am the needle. Alpha 91 is Yoon Jae-suk. He walks forward with the smooth confidence that old money and older arrogance produce when they've had several generations to calcify. His bow is technically perfect and contains not a single genuine feeling. I take his hand. The vision comes immediately, and it is not domestic, not a trade room, not a courtyard with cold tea. This ballroom, tonight, 40 minutes from now. Jae-suk's voice kept low and deliberate. Atra positioned near the northeast pillar with two alpha lords who have been strategically positioned. The words are not about water rights. They are about Wu Yong. I release his hand. It's been illuminating. He moves away, satisfied with something I have given him no reason to be satisfied with. I watch him go and I think, the sound he made in the main hall was not careless. It was a test, a calibration, a man checking what this court will allow before he decides what to do next. I file the vision, his name, the two alpha lords, the pillar, the 40 minutes. Alpha 99 is Shin Yunho, who arrives with the energy of a person for whom energy is simply the natural resting state of existence. I've been looking forward to this for 3 months, he says, with the brightness of someone who is constitutionally incapable of strategic opening lines. And I know I'm supposed to have a speech, but my pack elder told me to just be myself, and I argued with her for 2 weeks because being myself at a royal bonding ceremony felt genuinely risky. But here we are. Here we are, I agree. The vision is warm and loud and entirely chaotic, in the best way, a future full of noise and loyalty and the specific happiness of someone who has never mistaken performance for substance. Your pack elder was right. He looks so vindicated it's almost moving. Alpha 100 is Park Jun-hyuk. He looks at me for a moment after I take his hand, which people don't usually do. They look at my shoulder, my forehead, the middle distance. He looks at me, the specific quality of attention that people use when they are trying to be honest and want you to see that they're trying. I think I'm here for the right reasons, he says finally. I'm not entirely sure what those are yet, but they're not the wrong ones. The vision arrives, the same courtyard. Clearer than before, the image resolved into something almost solid. Cold tea, morning light, two people with nothing to perform for each other. The ground between them easy, One of the figures is definitely me. The other is someone I still can't quite resolve. Someone comfortable in the space they occupy. Someone who has learned that rooms are not obligations. I hold the handshake longer than I mean to. That's the most honest thing anyone has said to me tonight. He almost smiles. And that's either a good sign or a damning indictment of the evening. Possibly both. The presentations are over. 100 futures, all held and processed and filed away in the specific way that precognition requires, like carrying water in cupped hands across a very long room. My head is full of other people's tomorrows. My own is absent, a blind spot in the middle of everything, the one place my gift refuses to look, or not my own. His. I stop pretending I'm not looking. He is across the room, not working now, just present, the tray long since taken elsewhere, standing near the north wall with the stillness of someone who has found a position and decided to keep it. His eyes find mine across the full width of the ballroom, across the chandeliers and the silk, and the 100 formal conversations happening in between. Neither of us looks away first. For the first time in 15 years, the silence does not feel like a malfunction. It feels like space, like room, like a frequency that's been present all evening and that I've been hearing without knowing what it was. The way you sometimes walk into a room and feel welcome before you understand why. Like an invitation. I have 30 minutes before Lord Yoon Jae-suk's vision becomes reality, which means I have 30 minutes to make sure it plays out the way I intend, rather than the way he intends. I move through the ballroom with perfect calibration, which is what it always looks like from the outside when I am actually running 6 parallel calculations. Hyun-sung catches my eye near the East Garden window, and I spend 3 minutes with him, enough to confirm what the vision suggested, that he is exactly what he appeared, someone interested in something real. Jun-yuk I speak with briefly, near the refreshment table. If there was no ball, I say, no bonding ceremony, no political requirement attached to any of it, what would you actually want? He thinks about this genuinely, which is the most telling response possible. Somewhere quiet, work that matters to someone, someone to share cold tea with at unreasonable hours. Simple things. Simple things are harder than complicated ones. I know, he says, but they last longer. I like him. I file that carefully, separately from the vision, separately from the calculation of what tonight requires. Northeast pillar, right on time. I catch the tail end of the sentence as I approach, the specific acoustics of that corner of the room carrying sound farther than Jae-suk knows. What kitchen transfers? Apparently the Haewon court is less selective than we assumed. Though I suppose when the king is an unmated omega, running a pack alone, you take whatever warms the corridor. I stop 2 feet from the group. The laughter stops. I deliver it the way I have learned to deliver the things that matter most, without heat, without haste, with the calm specificity of a person who has the full picture and would like to share it. His words precisely. The northeast pillars' documented acoustic properties. The palace staff's recorded histories and the care with which they are maintained. The specific name detail of Oh Woo-young's transfer record, which contains nothing that warrants this conversation and a great deal that warrants respect. The Haewon court, I say, is highly selective, Lord Yoon. It selects for character. A pause calibrated to land. Enjoy the rest of the ball. I turn away. Cha Hyun-sung watched the entire exchange, Min-jae says, appearing at my elbow. From the garden window, he looked interested. A man who watches me dismantle a political calculation and finds it interesting rather than threatening wants someone to match rather than someone to manage. I file that. Your Majesty? Min-jae's voice has changed frequency, the one he uses when he is about to tell me something that isn't on the clipboard and that he suspects I already know. Oh, Woo-young, he watched everything, from the north wall. Before I can stop myself, my eyes find him. His expression is neutral. The clean, practiced neutrality I have come to recognize as his default setting, the face he shows to rooms that haven't earned anything else. But when our gaze connects across the crowded floor, something shifts in it for one unguarded second, one moment when the neutrality drops, and something underneath it shows through before his walls close again. Something that looks from across a room full of 100 alphas and every calculation I've been running all evening. a great deal like the beginning of trust. The council chamber smells like old wood and cold ambition, the specific atmosphere of a room where difficult things have been decided for 4 centuries. Lord Beck at the head of the table. The 4 advisors flanking him in the arrangement. That means this is formal. This is on record. And at the far end of the table, unhurried, hands folded with the patience of someone who has been carrying something for a long time and has decided that tonight is when he sets it down. Shumer Cha-hyun Sung. His expression is not triumphant. He looks like a man arriving at something exhausting, not with relief exactly, but with the resigned steadiness of someone who has known this moment was always coming and has spent years preparing for it, and found that preparation doesn't actually make arrival easier. Show me, I say. He places a document on the table. Aged paper, edges worn to the particular softness of something handled carefully for years. My father's mark the Haewon pine and river crest pressed in dark wax. Beside it, the Jirisan territory insignia, old enough that it predates the design revision of 12 years ago. I moved to the date, 14 years ago. I was 9 years old, sitting in a thunderstorm, holding my father's hand, screaming because I had just seen how his life ended. What was he signing? Why, 14 years ago, while I was learning what loss looked like, a pre-bonding agreement, a legal framework guaranteeing that Cha Hyun-sung would be the first alpha formally considered for the Haewon Omega heirs bond. A document signed before I knew what any of those words meant, before I understood what I was being, before I had any say in the shape my life would take, before I understood what it meant to see a future and not be able to stop it. Why is this the first I'm seeing this? Beck's answer is careful. Your father intended to present it when you came of age. When he passed, the document transferred to Jirisan's keeping. Tonight is technically the first legally valid opportunity under the original terms. Yunsung speaks. His voice is quiet, the specific quiet of someone choosing their words carefully because they understand that the wrong ones are irrecoverable. I am not here to enforce this contract. My father signed it. I inherited the obligation. I've spent 8 years deciding what to do with an obligation I never asked for, toward a person I had never met. A pause. He looks at me, and the look has no strategy in it. I came tonight because Pack law required disclosure. What you do with it is yours. You could have used this differently, I say. Could have led with it, made it leverage, the opening move instead of the ending one. Something shows through his composure. Not weakness, something human. The faint mark of a choice that cost him. Because I watched you conduct 3 hours of presentations tonight, he says, and I thought I wanted to be considered because of who I am, not because of a document my father signed when you were 9 years old. The silence after that has weight. I fold the document. Tomorrow, Baekgong. We'll discuss this tomorrow. I walk to the chamber door. My hand finds the handle. Cool bronze, familiar, present, and through stone walls, through 400 years of palace, and the cold night and the noise of a ballroom winding down, I catch it. Rain, pine sap. That third thing, the one I still don't have a name for. Close, much closer than the ballroom. I open the door. Oh Woo Young is standing in the corridor, not pacing, not performing urgency or composure, or any of the things people perform when they are waiting outside rooms where important things are happening and they know they're not supposed to be there. That's just still, hands at his sides, posture easy, his eyes finding mine the moment the door opens, with the specific precision of someone who knew exactly where I would appear. His scent hits me at full strength. Rain, pine sap, cedar and lightning, and that unnamed fourth thing, the one my body has been cataloging all evening with the thoroughness of someone expecting to need the information. Mine. The word detonates somewhere behind my sternum. Quiet and absolute. Not a thought I chose. Not a conclusion I reached through the careful process I apply to everything else. Just a recognition, the same kind of recognition that happens when you hear your own name said in a particular way, or when you see a place you have never been and understand with your whole body that you could stay there. My precognition reaches for his future and finds the silence. And this time the silence is not empty. This time it is full of something so vast that I cannot find the edges of it. cannot compress it into the flashes and fragments that my gift usually gives me. Full of a future that is too large to preview. Full of the specific, devastating weight of something that was always going to happen, that has been moving toward this corridor for much longer than tonight. I need to tell you something, Woo-young says. His voice is steady, but his jaw is set in the way it was, at the northeast pillar, holding something. About why I was transferred to this palace. My heart stops. Not metaphorically. A physical pause, a hiccup in the rhythm, the body doing what it does when something important announces itself. Yet I wasn't assigned here. He holds my gaze with the directness I have come to recognize as simply his nature, the way some people can only tell the truth directly or not at all. I requested the transfer 8 months ago. A fractional tightening around his eyes, something it costs him to say. I requested it because of you. The corridor is silent. My gift is silent. Everything is silent except the sound of my own pulse and the sound of something I have been trying to identify all evening becoming finally clear. Why? I say. One word, barely breath. He takes one step forward. The distance between us has been changing all night. I realize managed, calibrated, maintained by both of us with careful, unconscious effort. One step forward is a choice, a specific, deliberate, unrepeatable choice. I've seen you before, he says. Simp, my blood runs cold. The 4 words rearrange the evening. Everything I thought I had mapped, everything I thought I understood about what this night was, and wasn't it shifts? The way a picture shifts when you realize you were looking at it from the wrong angle, and now you can see what it actually is. 100 alphas. One sealed claim with my father's name on it. One boy who came here on purpose. And 4 words that just changed everything. I've seen you before. Who is Oh Woo-young, really? The corridor is cold and still, and he is 7 feet away, and my precognition, for the first time in 15 years, is offering me nothing. No vision, no flash, no future laid out in the specific language of my gift. Just silent, just him. If this story get into your heart, make you feel something and get you wrecked positively, you know what to do. Hit the subscribe button now. Send this to someone who needs a new obsession. See you in the next.